Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Mike, host of the free iTunes podcast, Psychiatric Secrets Revealed with Dr. Mike. But that's not why I'm here today. This is another Saving Savvy episode. This time we're going to talk about the Kindle Fire HD. And if you saw one of my videos a few videos ago, I looked at the iPad mini and the Nexus 7. I said, I'm going to probably have to now take a look at the Kindle Fire HD. And by the way, I'll probably be drinking a large amount of tea today, so I don't cough on camera. But I have a dirty little secret to tell you, and that is when the regular Kindle Fire came out in 2011, I actually bought one because I was just kind of intrigued by the idea of the then very unusual sub $200 tablet. And although I found the Kindle Fire a really amazing product for $200. I mean, it had a workable touchscreen, it had a workable web browser, the speed was adequate. A lot of it was just meh, as my oldest daughter would say. And by that I meant it had very little storage, it had very little expandability, things that would be critical for me like Bluetooth so I could connect a keyboard or a speaker that was just absent. It didn't have a lot of the App Store. The App Store was very stripped down. You had to use the Amazon App Store, and a lot of the apps that I used weren't available. And so I never even got to the point of doing a review on this because I just thought, I kind of played with it a little bit and just didn't do much with it. Again, great value in its day, certainly, but it just was so stripped down. It sort of reminded me like of my first car. My first car was a Ford Pinto, and I guess that could be called a car, but that was a car where even the carpeting was an optional extra. Just wasn't a lot of fun to drive, and this was a value, but not much. So it was of great interest that I decided to take a look at the Kindle Fire HD7, same price point. And actually, this is in a case, and I think this is a very nice case. It comes from Kindle. It really works very well, and it makes holding it a lot better. So I'm going to look at the positives and the negatives of this particular tablet, and then maybe compare it a little bit to some of the other tablets that people might consider. Of course, this is my opinion. Everyone has a biased opinion. I've already told you about my biases in other videos, so be aware your opinion may vary. And lastly, I am not a gamer, so I don't do a lot of game playing at all. I don't do any game playing, so I don't really feel qualified to even judge any tablet on that. So you're going to have to figure that out someplace else. So what are some of the positives of this tablet? Well, it certainly is a lot faster, and in it, I don't know if we can even get a picture of it, I really can't see much. In it, you're going to have a much nicer screen. You're going to have much nicer sound than you had before. Now, people are really just, they're just going crazy about this Dolby sound. I would say, honestly, this is not going to sound even like a table radio. This is going to sound like a loud transistor radio, but it's still a lot better than what you get in most tablets because it has a little more depth and it definitely has more volume. So if several people are watching something on it, they're going to be able to hear it. But it's not the most phenomenal sound in the world. It's just better sound. The screen is also a very nice clear screen that's easy to view. It has some additional things. It has a front camera finally, so you can do things like Skype, and it has a pretty good microphone built in. So here again, you can do that chat sort of stuff or other things that you would do with a microphone. Battery life is decent. It's certainly as good, I think, as the Nexus 7. So it's kind of around the same amount of battery life, which is very, very good. You have the App Store has really dramatically improved. So although it's nowhere near as good as the Play Store for Google products in general, although this is running Ice Cream Sandwich underneath a very different looking interface. The App Store has improved, and you'll find most of the apps, or at least apps that will be similar to the apps that you're looking for. So if you want a calculator or whatever, you can find that in here. They also have now included not just a mail client, and the mail client is more robust than in the original, but it also has a calendar client, which works reasonably well too. So that's very good. And what they've done is they've really made this into a media consumption device. So you have things that are really nice, like a mini HDMI port on the back. So you just get a cheap cable and plug this into your TV, and you can watch your movies, or if you want to do a slideshow or something, you can do that very easily with very high resolution. I think the fact that this now has Bluetooth really makes it a usable tablet for me, because that Bluetooth is going to allow me to connect stuff to it, like stereo speakers. But for me, a keyboard is critical. And it's very tightly integrated into Amazon Prime. So of course, Amazon, if you want to buy music or a refrigerator, you can do that. Amazon Prime, of course, is their streaming service and their video service. Tightly integrated into that, tightly integrated into the Amazon book experience, tightly integrated into all the magazines and other things that Amazon offers, and of course the Amazon hardware line, or things like product line, also tightly integrated. So if you're into that Amazon ecosystem, you're going to be very happy with this. And it comes to you out of the box ready to go. So it actually will be ready with your account in it. It's just a few clicks and you're ready to use the tablet in any way that you want. What are some of the things? I wrote some things down here. Oh yeah, it has whisper sync. So if, for instance, if I'm reading something on this device and then I go to a different device, it's going to remember that on that other device. I don't have to thumb through it. Same thing with movies. It also has a function called X-ray, which is kind of cool. So when you're in Amazon media content, like a movie or a book, you can press on different things and get information about the characters or about the actors right there on the screen, right there as you're watching the movie. Now, of course, you can do that in other ways too with other devices, but it's really built right in here. What else I have? Well, the other thing is that this does allow pretty easy side loading. So if you want to go just a little bit technical, you can load other types of apps and things on it. Not very difficult to do. But a lot of people, I think, that are going to buy this device are going to buy it strictly for its ease of use. So going through my list here, I think we've kind of covered everything. Great, a great tablet. It has this big bezel, which I think is a little bit ugly, but apparently a lot of Amazon people have wanted this, because what they want is they want to be able to put their fingers here when they're reading a book, and they want to be able to not like touch the screen. Now, products like Apple do that electronically. This does not do that, but it does have this big bezel here. Makes it look a little more old-fashioned, but it really gives you some space if you're reading it in bed or that sort of thing. So what are some of the negatives? Well, one negative thing is it didn't come with a charger. You have to buy, or you have to use, a separate charger. This is the Amazon Quick Charge. It's about 1.8 amps, and it charges in about 4 hours. 19 bucks though, kind of expensive. You could plug it into your computer and charge it that way with the supplied USB cable, or plug it into some other charging device. If it's not quite as powerful as this little guy here, it's going to take a little bit longer to charge. The other thing that that I didn't like terribly is I have the ad version, and so I have ads everywhere. So when you turn it on, there's an ad, and when you are on different sites, it gives customers also bought here. So you have ads everywhere, and it really is a selling device. So you're sort of at a storefront with this device. Some people, it's not going to bother them too much. Other people, it will bother them a lot. I live in the U.S. We see commercials on our TV all the time, so I'm slightly oblivious to it, but it still kind of bothers me a little bit, but not enough that I'm going to spend the 14 bucks to get rid of it. The other thing is that a lot of the basic apps that you would expect to see in any Android device, you're going to have to download. So if you want a camera app that actually does something more than just take a snapshot, or if you want a calculator, or those sorts of things, you're going to have to download them. Again, the Kindle store is going to supply you with most of those things, so no big deal. It does not have GPS built in, which the Nexus does. GPS, I think, is a great function for a geeky guy like me. And I just had a cat jump on my lap. You see a little tail here. But it does do some triangulation using Wi-Fi hotspots, which can work if you're in an urban area. And that's something that, yeah, I mean, I guess is good enough for what it is. And because it's heavily sort of redone with this sort of carousel design, you're not going to have access to some of the things that I think makes Android as good as Android is. So you're not going to be able to have widgets. And I think probably the one thing that I like the most about Android, this table is just going crazy here, is the fact that you do have those widgets that you can customize and really make your initial screen or screens really user friendly. This just does not have that. And I think that this particular interface, although very simple and very easy for a newbie to use, is kind of clunky and honestly reminds me of something from about 5 or 6 years ago. Interfaces have gotten so much more sophisticated. It definitely does the job. It's definitely super easy to use, which is probably why they chose it. But this sort of carousel, if you go into like apps, you get this this sort of bookcase metaphor. You could do some favorites down there, but it's just kind of clunky. If you are going to connect this to a Mac, you're going to have to download some software. No big deal, just so you can get at the file structure. And basically, the idea behind this is sell, sell, sell. So at every opportunity, they're trying to sell you something. Here again, you can easily ignore that, but it might bother some people. See if I have anything else on my list here. The other thing is that you are limited to a lot of apps that you might expect. So you're not going to see any Google apps here. You're not going to see a YouTube app or Chrome or Google Voice in the App Store. Now again, you can easily sideload those. There's a lot of YouTube videos on that. But if you're uncomfortable doing anything except opening it out of the box and using the App Store, you're not going to be able to do that. The same thing with the browser. The only browser that you can really use on this or get on this is the Silk browser. Yes, you can download other ones, but that's the one that you're going to find, and there's no other browsers located in the Amazon App Store. As far as performance goes, I had no problems with performance. Screen is responsive, display is beautiful. Sound, again, not phenomenal, but certainly louder than most tablets that you have out there, and plays back video very well. There really is nothing to complain at all about this dual core processor that's in this little gadget. I think the interface itself, as I said earlier, is not very appealing to me. I think the Android interfaces in general are so much more customizable, so much more user interactive, so much more accessible than this, but it does the job. And so you gotta kind of pay the price. And what they're really bundling is this wonderful purchasing experience and this experience where if you're consuming information like a movie, you're able to go to any device and pick it up, and you're able to get information with their X-ray supposedly technology and that sort of a thing. I think the case really makes it a lot more user holdable. I found without the case it was kind of slippery, and I didn't feel as secure with it. With the case, it's just great. So definitely a great buy. 16 gigabytes at $199. I think $249 for the 32 gigabyte version for the 7-inch. Really an outstanding value. Clearly, they're not making a lot of money on the device. What they're really hoping to do is get you involved more and more, captured in that Amazon experience, which is a good experience. So if you are already there, you're going to like it. So what can I say about other things with this? Basically, I would say I didn't find the Silk browser any faster than any other browser. So, all that kind of hype about how they're caching the data and doing all this stuff, I didn't find it any better. I didn't find it any worse. This does not support Flash like most Android devices after 4.0, and so that's just the way it is. But there's a lot of content that is now Flash free, and of course it's going to stream your Amazon Prime videos through its own little app, so it's able to do that using a different codec. Well, so that's the review on the Amazon Kindle HD. And how would I compare this, and what would I recommend? Well, again, I have my own bias, so I'm going to tell you that. But I really think that if you have the money and you're looking between the Kindle or the Nexus or the iPad Mini, I still would definitely recommend the iPad mini. It gives you the most of everything, really excellent apps, really excellent quality. The only place where it's not as good is the display resolution, and that's probably going to change in the next one anyways, the next iPad mini release. What's the downside? It costs significantly more. So if you're looking for that inexpensive experience with a small tablet, you're pretty much talking about the Nexus and the Amazon to get a really quality tablet at a very, very low price. So what's my recommendation? Well, if I had to buy only one, I would go with the Nexus. And I would do that because I really love those Android widgets. I wish Apple had those. They don't. I really love them. I really love the way I can customize it. I really love the fact that I can access the full app market through Google Play. I like the fact that it has a built-in GPS chip. So I'm a little more on that geeky side, and this does it for me. Although this will not play Amazon Prime movies, there's some ways around it, but there's not really a good way to do it. However, if I was going to buy another little mini pad for my wife, who again is brilliant but not technical, I think I'd go with the Amazon Kindle Fire HD because it is so easy to use and it's so easy to access content and to do all sorts of other amazing things with it. So there's definitely, both these companies have made choices, and Google made the choice to design the most really the best hardware that you could possibly get at this particular price point. And I think Amazon, their choice was to make the most media kind of consuming device they can make at this price point. Both are excellent tablets. It's not like you're going to find that the web browser on one of them works better than the other, or watching a movie experience is better on one or the other. Maybe a game experience might be better on this. I don't know. I don't really play games, so I can't tell you. But that would be my recommendation. Frankly, you can't go wrong with any of these devices. If you bought one, I don't think you really need to give yourself any buyer's remorse because, unbelievable value at under $200. Unbelievable that they can do this kind of value with these products. And obviously, they each have their own agendas. Google is all about gathering as much information about you as possible so they can sell your information. Amazon is about gathering as much information about you so they can sell you their products. And I don't have the Mini in front of me. The Mini, of course, is also about gathering information, but they're trying to, they're trying to seduce you to buy what they consider their product, which is they feel is the best product. So, yeah. That's the reality. So if you have some time, please give my podcast a listen. It's an audio podcast. You can find it on iTunes and other places. It's called Psychiatric Secrets Revealed with Dr. Mike, and it has a lot of completely different information than what you're getting here. Thank you very much, and have a great day. And it's time for me to have another sip of tea because I can hear my voice starting to go out. Bye.